universe is calling you. The universe is calling me. It speaks both day and night. It's full of dark and light.
Well, hello there, and welcome to Sky Tour Radio here on KGRAradio.com, the most famous radio station on the planet, at least as far as I'm concerned, anyway. I want to welcome Amanda. Hi, Amanda. She's over there. You can see her over there. Okay.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Hey, Daryl. What's going on down there? It's like it's a story of a man named Brady. And then we, of course, down the corner, we have Tara, always smiling. Tara is, of course,
hello,
an amazing Arizona artist who has worked with us with Sky Tour live stream in the Arizona desert. In fact, you were just out there yesterday, were you not?
I was in the warm desert yesterday. Yes, that is correct.
Tell us what happened. Give us a Sky Tour live stream update, will you?
Well, my friend Marianne, Rob, and I went out there, and beautiful sunny day, and we basically checked on the building and tested the garage door opener and made sure the roof worked, and it did. Yep. And there it is. And we checked inside, and no critters had got in, and it survived the winter storms well. And we raked up all around the edges, tried to get a lot of those big rocks out of there so we weren't tripping on ourselves as we walked around. And
yeah, there were a lot of rocks there on the ground, that's for sure.
Yeah, it looks really nice. It looks beautiful.
You cleared quite a path, and because it's I'm T-minus 7 days, and then I'm out there.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, because I'm going to be installing all this equipment. This is the telescope with the big thing marked EFW. That's the electronic filter wheel. It has all the filters we use, and then the big camera at the other end of it there, and then the thing up above, that other tube up on top, is a guide telescope, which is going to be guiding the telescope separately, and it's really a good system. So we're going to install all that, and that's on Pier number 1. And all we're going to do is install Pier number 1 and go live with Sky Tour live stream after the visit, starting the end of next week. Actually, next week at this time, I will be in Arizona, which is now probably the appropriate time to say that there won't be a live show next weekend because I won't have the ability to broadcast from the desert. So I apologize for that. But that'll change because we are getting Starlink service. I looked into it and was approved. We've got the site location. The site availability has now been approved by the Starlink folks, SpaceX, and we're going to have Starlink access sometime soon. I don't know when, but they keep launching more and more satellites, and if they keep launching, we're gonna have it. Right now, we have 99% uptime with Starlink in the desert out there, and as soon as they go live with all those satellites and put the network together, or the constellation as they're called, then we will be able to have our very dependable internet service that's actually 3 times faster than where I'm sitting right now in the middle of civilization, and it'll be in the middle of desert out there.
Who knew? That's awesome.
Who knew indeed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Daryl, you have Starlink at your, I know you don't have it, but you have Starlink availability where you are now?
Oh, I'm sure I do.
Yeah. You probably have better connectivity than I do. They have a range. The way it works, folks, is they have this range where they basically say that the satellites from 35 degrees on up is like an optimum angle, but now they're down to 25 degrees on up. And in the desert at 25 degrees, we have 99% uptime, but for the 35 degree and up, we only have 74% uptime. So the difference is that the technology, I guess, you're looking through more air, so the signal could get bounced and or disrupted at those lower angles. But you know, I don't know. It should be okay. You know, it should be okay. But you know, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, you know, SkyTour Livestream is this beautiful live observatory we do. We have 2 observatories, one here in Connecticut where I am at the moment. And that's what we call SkyTour Livestream East. And SkyTour Livestream West is this observatory right here. That thank you to Mary and Rob, who is listening, I know, and Tara, who is sitting right down there in the lower right corner. Okay. I'm
listening too.
And she's listening too, of course. Yeah, you better be listening. And thanks to them, they got this observatory built. You know, Tara actually, I tell you, I don't know if I want to work for her because she's a real slave driver. You know, the people that were there, she had to oversee and inspect, and she was actually really thorough. And I have to give her, you know, props for that. And I know it's embarrassing to her and all that, but, you know, too bad, Tara. You know, you did a good job, and I just want people to know.
Thank you.
You notice the door there. She did the door as well. The door is actually a stylized Orion Nebula, which you can see there in the center, and then the STLS, and it's made of bottle caps. And I always repeat this over and over, and no one has come close yet, but Daryl always has the same number as a guess, and it's never right, but it's the same guess every time, which I think is
1,326.
Keep trying.
That's what he says. I think it's funny. But we have a standing contest, which basically says if you can guess how many bottle caps there are in this door, then we make these very cool moons. This is the moon. It's about 2.5 inches across. It's a 3D printed moon. Actually, it's a stereolithography moon we actually print here with Visual Effects Shop that I run. And this is our moon, and it's got all kinds of detail. It's got every crater on it, and we paint it by hand. It's actually a piece of art. To buy it on the market, you're looking at, you know, a couple $100. But if you can guess how many bottle caps are in this door, and you can see every one of them in the high-res photo, nothing's hidden, there's no mystery. But if you are courageous enough to count every one of these and do a good enough job and get within 25 of the actual number that Tara knows, well, then, thank you, Kathy, and that is cool. Then you will get one of these moons. We'll send it to you free. First person to get it, all right? So if you are diligent enough to do the count, you'll be rewarded with one of our stereolithography moons. They're beautiful, and they have a little stand. They come with a stand that says the moon on it, in case you wondered.
In case you didn't know.
In case you didn't know, yes. Yeah. So anyway, it's a lot of fun, and you'll enjoy it. But the SkyTour Livestream telescope, which I showed you before, will be moved to that observatory. And out here, we have a new observatory building that we're building, and it's going to be a tilt-off roof where we're going to actually have the roof moving off and then on using what are called linear actuators. And this process is going to make the observatory here remote, just like the one in Arizona is remote. So I don't have to be at either location to run a SkyTour live stream. This frees me up to basically go all over the country on college campuses, all over, and do
all over the world.
Oh yeah, and do talks on astronomy and run a live nighttime stream. And SkyTour live stream, of course, is composed of this person over here, that's Amanda over there, and this guy down here, Daryl, and of course me. And the three of us do these clear night shows for you. Tara will join us from time to time as well, you know. So it's actually kind of interesting, and you get to see these beautiful wonders just materialize before your eyes. A lot of the photos I show you within our radio show now are actually from the SkyTour Livestream Observatory. So we actually do wonders from here in Connecticut, even though it's just not really the best sight, the best seeing. Okay. This is the observatory dome we had here, and we've got rid of it, and now we're putting a new building there, and that'll be bigger, we're expanding, and it's going to be a bigger building. All right. But this is basically what it is. It's Sky Tour live stream. You can see some of the pictures we've taken. Okay, the upper left is the Lagoon Nebula. The lower left is the Dumbbell Nebula. To the right is the Rosette at the bottom, and then the Orion Nebula up top, which, of course, is the nebula that Tara chose to make the door image from. She actually decided to make that a stylized Orion Nebula, as you can see in the middle there. So it's actually kind of cool. So
artistic license. Right?
It's artistic license. That's right. That's right. You know, and for those of you listening, we will be opening up the phone lines a little bit later on tonight, and we'll let you know. And Amanda is probably going to interrupt me whenever she wants to tell me things, and that's okay as well. And one of those things that she'll tell me is, you know, phone lines are opening up probably or whatever. Because Amanda really is sort of part of the heart and soul around here, you know. She's really quite amazing.
It's better than being called a nag. I'll take it.
I've never called you a nag once. Not even once.
To my face.
Oh, that implies I've done it before. I have not. No one could ever call you that.
No way.
How could anyone call someone who's trying to help and make you succeed? How could anyone belittle someone like that? I would never do that. I think that you guys, you know, like I told you, Sky Tour Radio was no longer me. Okay, it's you, it's me, it's Daryl, and this one over here now. That person down there in the corner. Yes, that's right, you down there. Okay, so we have a lot of people that join us to make this a success. So it's beyond that. I'm just the big mouth. I'm the one that just talks, blah, 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 blah. And people say, shut up, will you? And it's like, let the others talk, you know. And, you know, Daryl, he doesn't want to, you know, be on camera. You know, he wants to be paid to be on camera. And they can't pay him enough yet, you know. And Amanda, same thing, you know. So, you know, I just can't afford to pay them enough so that they'll put their likenesses on.
I have a good face for radio.
Well, me too, Daryl.
I used to be so pretty.
I've heard you say that before, Daryl. You know, and Daryl, speaking of that, before we go further, tonight's, by the way, for you listening, this is sort of an astronomical potpourri night tonight. We're going to be taking and going through in some detail a number of questions. And we also have Daryl, who's going to take us into a nice sky tour of his own, using our famous planetarium that we use within Sky Tour Livestream, actually. This planetarium also controls the telescope software. Okay, the software actually controls the telescope as well. So you're seeing little elements of Sky Tour Livestream within Sky Tour Radio. And I guess that's why it's all things Sky Tour, I guess, right? So I'm really liking it. So, Daryl, I don't know when you want to do that. It's up to you when you want to take that on and do another stellarium run with us to show us the evening sky. But we did talk about it earlier, I think. But if that caught you unaware because we didn't say exactly when that was going to be, I totally understand. But, you know, it's live radio, it's live video. These things happen. So tell me what you want to do. Would you like to do that?
I could do it any old time. I think I have my ducks in a row.
Awesome. Why don't we do it?
Okay. Hang on just a second here. See if I remember how to do this.
Now, if you recall last week, folks, Daryl actually brought up the stellarium screen, and he was able to share his screen and then talk to us about what was up in the sky. And we're going to make that a weekly feature where Daryl will do a little bit of that. And perhaps he'll pick an object that he likes a lot, such as that. That's a good one, Daryl. Let me see if we can do this and maybe make it a little bigger for you.
Ta-da.
Ta-da. And there we go. Ta-da. And now, so when you go out at night tonight, as Daryl has said a number of times in the past couple of weeks, you'll notice that Orion is now west of that green line you see in the screen there, which is the meridian. All right, that is the central spot between the eastern and western horizon for your local time. And that is something that is signaling the stars of spring are approaching. And I'm going to let Daryl take it from there because I know he has a few things he wants to mention. So go for it, Daryl. I want to hear from you now.
Okay. First thing I want to say is I made a mistake last week, believe it or not.
Not you. You don't make mistakes.
Old joke. I thought I was wrong once, but I was mistaken. So I want to correct that. I'll probably lead right off with that here. In a minute. As I said last week, let's see. We're at. Can you see my cursor? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we're at blah blah. This is 9:07 my time, and I'm gonna update this a little bit. Here is 8 o'clock. Here is 7 o'clock. 7:08. It's still, the sun just set there. So here is 8 o'clock tonight. Now, I still have a problem with daylight savings time because this is really what the sky is like at 8 after 7 my time. But with daylight savings time now, it's 8 after 8. But the whole point being that the bright stars of winter, the winter circle or the winter hexagon in particular, are all pretty much, let's see, we'll give it another hour. They're all west of the meridian now by 9 o'clock at night. Castor and Pollux in Gemini and Procyon in Canis Minor. They're the last ones to transit the meridian. That's the north-south line that runs straight overhead. That is the western half of the sky. And so all the bright stars of winter are in decline now, okay? Without daylight savings time, actually all the bright stars like Orion and Sirius even are without daylight savings time. They're west of the meridian by 7 o'clock or even 6:30 now. But this is my sky at 9:10 tonight, and they are all in decline now. They're dropping off toward the west, and they'll be gone soon. And here come the bright stars of springtime. There's Polaris in Ursa Minor. That's the North Star. Here is Ursa Major, the Big Bear. There's the Big Dipper. Here's Leo. And coming on up a little later is Arcturus and Boötes and Spica in Virgo. And those are the stars of spring. It's getting ready to take over now. Now, for the mistake I made last week, I went back and reviewed the video stream because I wanted to see how StreamYard came across, and I wanted to see how badly I did, frankly. I called both Auriga and Boötes the herdsman, and I have to correct that. Auriga is the charioteer, and Boötes is the herdsman. But there's... I can tell you why I made the mistake. This always throws me if I don't keep it in mind. Auriga is a guy driving a chariot, okay? Yet that star Capella, that's the sixth brightest star in the sky, that is called the goat star. You know, goat, G-O-A-T, bah, all that. And actually, there are three more little stars right there in a tight little isosceles triangle. Those are called the kids, baby goats. Well, what is the charioteer doing with the goats? Did he take them from Boötes the herdsman? And no, he didn't. But there's more to this story. I haven't found it all yet. I need to dig a little deeper. But anyway, I think this is why I always get Auriga and Boötes confused. Auriga was, there's a couple of different stories out there about just who the charioteer is. I won't go too deep into it. But what the heck's he doing with the goats? Capella means nanny goat, okay, a female goat. And he has Auriga, has the goat up on his left shoulder where he's facing us, so left is to the right here. And the three little stars there called the kids in that little triangle, those are baby goats, and he's holding them in the crook of his left arm. I'm going to do some more digging, and hopefully I have more for you about that later. But anyway, Auriga is the charioteer. He's driving a chariot, and he's carrying goats. Go figure. Boötes is the actual herdsman, and the story goes that Arcturus, the brightest star in Boötes, well, he's keeping an eye on the bear, Ursa Major. I guess he wants to protect his herd from predation by the bear. So there we go. That's why the herdsman is the herdsman. And Auriga, again, there was a couple of different stories, famous charioteers. But just to get that straight. Now, the one thing I wanted to talk about tonight, I'm going to add one more layer on the chart. And we're going to talk about the brightest stars in the sky. You've heard it said that Sirius is the brightest star in the sky, and it is. I'm wondering about this display, actually, because it's showing this much must actually be the celestial equator here. Yeah, because it's running straight from east to west. So Sirius, strictly speaking, is in the southern sky. Sirius is the brightest star by a good bit. The second and the third brightest stars are actually south of our horizon. Unless you're in the very southernmost U.S., you won't be able to see them. Second brightest is a star named Canopus. The third brightest is actually Alpha Centauri, also called Rigel Centaurus. Rigel Centaurus is down about here right now in the constellation Centaurus, and Canopus is in the constellation Carina, which is the keel of the ship. Now, you probably heard Mark talk about the constellation Puppis before. That's not a puppy. That means the poop deck of a ship. The poop deck is the tall deck on the back of the ship where the captain stands and the steersman usually is. So there's Puppis, the poop deck. Now, right next to that is Vela. Vela is the sail of the ship. There's the deck. There's the poop deck. There's the sail. And I'm going to try this here. No, it's not going to work. Carina is farther south, and that's where Capella is. Capella is pretty close, actually, to it's down in the southern part there. And also is Alpha Centauri, or Rigel Centaurus, in Carina the keel. Now, why do I mention these? Well, to get a little more into the mythology and stuff, where the names come from. The whole ship, I wish I could show you. The entire ship is called Argo Navis. If you ever saw the movie Jason and the Argonauts, Jason is the guy who went and got the golden fleece. Argo Navis, Argo was the name of his ship, and that's what we have right there. There's the back of the ship, the tail. There's the sail, and the keel is farther down under. So anyway, we cannot see Canopus and Rigel Centaurus, Alpha Centauri, from middle or northern latitudes in the United States. But still, we have Sirius, the brightest star in the sky. Now, what is the fourth brightest star in the sky? The fourth brightest star is Arcturus. Arcturus is in the northern sky because here is the celestial equator. And Arcturus is it, the brightest star in the northern half of the sky. It is second from our point of view, Sirius, because though Sirius is south of the celestial equator, we can still see it at least. Okay, but Arcturus is it for the brightest star in the northern sky. The star Vega, I'm going to bump it up an hour or two here. There's Vega by midnight. Vega is just marginally dimmer than Arcturus, but Vega is number 5. Capella, the goat star, back on Auriga the charioteer, is the 6th brightest. If you have a fancy to, go out and take a look if your skies are clear. See which one you think looks the brightest. To me, by eye, Vega always looks brighter than Arcturus, and I think that's because of the color. Vega, Mark, if you wanted to chime in with the stellar types, the spectral types.
Yeah, I was thinking of that actually. What's interesting about, you mentioned Arcturus and Capella, both are distinctly yellow stars.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason, I mean, Capella is a G-type star like our sun.
It is.
However, it's a giant star, which is why it is so bright.
Yep.
And Arcturus, on the other hand, is a K-type star, but it's actually also a giant, and oddly enough, of the same type as Capella. Mm-hmm. So just briefly, if I may,
Sure.
Here is our diagram. It's called the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram. But if you notice, and Amanda knows these letters cold and what they mean, and Amanda, if you want to go ahead and say tell people what these are and what they mean, that's fine, because I'm always willing to test your knowledge.
Well, you guys can all see at the bottom the O, B, A, F, G, K, M. The O's and the B's are a little more blue. The M is red, and that's actually what it looks like in real life. The blues are the hotter ones. The red's still hot, but on the cooler scale. And there's a nice little mnemonic that goes with it. O, be a fine guy, kiss me, or O, be a fine girl, kiss me, depending on your preference. And then you can remember the order of the letters in the classes.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
And when you look at the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram, well, you've got the biggest, hottest, and bluest ones over on the O end, as you said, and the coolest, reddest ones at the M end, where the red giants and red dwarfs are.
Yeah.
If you look dead in the middle of the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram, you'll see yellow to a white star, and it'll have a mass of 1 and a brightness of 1, and that is our sun, dead in the middle.
It's a relative scale, too. So it starts with the sun. So relative to our sun, with the sun being the number 1, there are stars that are millions of times brighter and more massive, and there are stars that are hundreds and thousands, actually, of times lower mass. Really interesting. Now, the point being that, as Amanda and Daryl were saying, when we talk about this diagram, that snaky line going down through the middle there that's labeled the main sequence, that is the type of the star that is doing hydrogen fusion. That is normal fusion of hydrogen to helium, okay? If you start fusing other things and you run out of hydrogen, you migrate, as a star, you migrate off this diagram, off this main little snaky line, and you end up going north of it. You end up going up. So that's what those giants are up top. And you can see that you have giants and subgiants, and those have this other letter, this Roman numeral assigned to them. And you can see those other Roman numerals. And so Capella and Arcturus are type 3. Okay, they're actually that 3 is a luminosity class, and that 3 means that it's a giant star. So
and
that makes them luminous.
Yeah, even though you would think we're a G5. The sun is a G5 star, if I remember correctly.
That's correct.
And even though we are all G stars, Capella, for instance, is over 100 times brighter and bigger than the sun is, just
right.
Because it's gone off the main sequence and it's swelled up into a giant phase.
That's correct.
You could look at either Capella. Capella's probably good because it is very close in mass to the sun. It's just a little over 1 solar mass. The Capella might look like what we're going to look like a few billion years from now.
That's right. That could be. And by that time, it's possible that we'll be, fusing hydrogen into helium still, but in a shell around the core, which is no longer have any hydrogen in it to fuse. So that'll start to swell us up. And eventually our star is going to swell into a red giant. So we're going to look like these guys in the right side of the central part of the diagram. And so it's going to be an M-type star. And M is only the vertical column, okay? And same with O, B, A, F, G, and K. It's the vertical column, okay? But the horizontal column is the intrinsic brightness or luminosity. That takes you up higher or lower, okay? But the vertical column basically gives you your color, right? So if you're to the right, whether you're a giant or a tiny, tiny star, 100th the size of the sun, you can still be an M star, M-class star, right? So this number along the bottom, this letter along the bottom is the spectral class. And the luminosity is this vertical column, axis. And then the Roman numerals are the luminosity class. So you'll notice that down here you have the main sequence of 5, luminosity class 5. That's the Roman numeral 5 down there, the V. These are the normal hydrogen fusing stars. Above them, you have the 2s, the 3s, and the 4s. These are the giants and the subgiants. Those have left this main sequence. They have stopped doing hydrogen primarily and have moved on to fusing helium into carbon and things like that. In other words, they're building more elements for our periodic table, okay? And then still later on, you have, again, depending on their mass, they could become these supergiants. When you get up to this size, when they're this size, 1A and 1B, as you see in the top of the diagram, these are really, really originally very massive hot stars that have now evolved into these supergiants. And they end their lives only one way. And that's in a supernova. So when they do explode their guts into space, basically, what that does is that makes it so that the periodic table of the elements, which is comprises all the elements from which you were made, are now shared back into the interstellar medium. So really, really crazy. It's a beautiful thing. And stars like our sun can make a lot of the elements in the periodic table as well through a number of different processes. We've actually talked about it before. It's called the slow process or the S process. But we're not going to go into that tonight. But just letting you know that what you're seeing here in terms of the stars exist and make the elements overall that we get in our periodic table and from which planets are made and all life forms.
Yep.
Thank heavens they make carbon atoms, because that's what we're made of, right, Daryl? The carbon atom.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and if you think about it, okay, we are made of a specific set of a little chemical soup, and that's carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. Chomps. Okay, it's a nitrogen is an N word, not an M word. Okay, but it's chomps. CHONPS. And that's the basis also of DNA. So when we see DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, for those trying to remember what it meant, these DNA strands are made of these nucleic acids. And those nucleic acids are made from those elemental atoms and turned into these molecules of adenine, guanine, thymine, cytosine, okay, and so on. And these end up being put together in just such a way to make carbon-based life. And the carbon atom is most important, as is hydrogen and the oxygen in the DNA world as well as the others. So basically, because stars make such a large amount of carbon, it seems as if the universe has created templates for making these elements and thus life from those elements. That is why when I wrote the book, The Populated Universe, I said that life in the universe may very well be the rule, not the exception. I'm convinced of that, actually. I'm pretty convinced of that. And a number of people are also convinced of that, too. I'm not the only one. I'm not shooting in the dark here. But I know Daryl probably agrees, and Amanda probably does, and Tara probably does. I mean, everybody probably agrees that life in the universe is probably the rule, not the exception. And I just think that's really interesting. Now, Amanda,
we actually have a question from chat.
Just going to ask you if we have any questions, because I had this sensation. See this? It's the sixth sense, folks. This is a paranormal show. Well, not really, but we could try. Hey, I had a sense that you were just about to ask a question. I was about to say, Amanda, do we have any questions?
Yeah, well, actually, we do have a few piling back, and I will get to those. But just while we're talking about this, Amal wants to know if a planet somehow survived around a supergiant and developed life, would people on that planet see our sun as red? Are these colors relative? He's talking about like an O or a B supergiant being relative to our sun.
Okay.
Can I tackle that?
If you'd like to.
Well, yeah, feel free to jump in. Planets around supergiant stars probably won't live long enough to have life. When you look at that Hertzsprung-Russell diagram, the really hot, bright blue stars up at the upper left, they burn at a furious rate because they're so massive and they're fusing so fast that the real blue supergiant stars only live tens of millions of years.
Yeah.
And planets will probably not have time to develop life before those stars go supernova. When you look at the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram and you move from upper left to lower right, well, you're getting cooler and you're also getting smaller, where the farther you go to the right, planets will have a much better chance to develop life.
And the stars last longer, too.
I'm sorry?
And the stars last a lot longer as well.
Absolutely. They last much longer, which gives a greater window for life to develop. Yeah. When you get down to the bottom right-hand end of that Hertzsprung-Russell diagram, you're looking at the red dwarfs, and those stars are figured to last trillions of years.
Mm-hmm. I call them the little percolators in the universe.
Whereas stars like ours, the sun, the G5 star, is going to last billions of years. And then you go back up the scale, and the real bright blue-white supergiants, blue supergiants, are only going to be around for millions of years.
Yeah, there's another thing, too, about those, and Daryl, you know this as well. Those hot blue stars, and this goes to your question, Amal, those hot blue stars are also giving off most of their radiation in the ultraviolet arena. So in the ultraviolet radiation is extremely disruptive to carbon-based life. So if somehow life could live in that system where there was a blue supergiant, or let's say a blue supergiant, and then we'll tackle like a red supergiant, most likely that life would be rendered, or the planets would be rendered sterile by the ultraviolet radiation. And you can imagine that maybe they transplanted to that location and had these protective domes. In that case, that's possible. But then again, it wouldn't be an indigenous life that lived there to begin with. But to answer your other question about the color, when you look at the color of our sun is going to appear the color it is no matter where you see it from in the universe. Okay, the only difference is that you can understand that when you grow up, you're taught that space is a quote unquote vacuum. Well, that's not exactly true. Okay, space has a lot of dust in it, has a lot of other gas in it. We found in recent years, we found a ton of other stuff in the universe that in between galaxies and within galaxies that constitutes stuff that causes light to be what is called reddened or extincted. I like to use. The light actually gets reddened in the same way that the sunlight is made red at sunset. Okay, because there's so much air between you and the sun that the blue light is scattered more from the star's position way, way, way away and going through that much atmosphere. And your eye, that the star looks red. Well, in the same way, our sun viewed from many tens of thousands or millions of light years away, depending on what they're seeing it through, our sun could look redder, but never bluer. Okay, it's going to look redder. So that reddening is something that can happen. So color is relative perhaps to your direction of what you're looking at, but it only goes one way. It's only going to get redder. It's not going to be bluer. All right. And the star has an intrinsic luminosity, an intrinsic brightness. We call that. Okay. The label's luminosity, and that luminosity is going to be with that star throughout its life until it actually starts to evolve from that snaky main sequence line we were talking about, right? So as the star begins to evolve, then its luminosity, in most cases, when it first evolves, luminosity is going to go up rather drastically. And then it'll eventually get less and less and less if it's a star like our sun, until it becomes a white dwarf. And that'll be the end of its life, of course. Or it blows up and the luminosity goes up tens of thousands of percentage points in an instant and stays like that for a few months.
And we just lost Mark.
Okay.
Okay, well, while he comes back, speak of the devil.
Speak of the devil. I don't know what just happened.
Welcome to live radio, folks.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I was just talking about the fact that when we're looking at that Hertzsprung-Russell diagram, and I don't know where I went, but I went, and now I'm back. But in looking at the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram here, I was trying to answer Amal's question about relative color. The color of the sun will always be yellowish white, no matter where you see it from, unless we're seeing it through a lot of dust and intervening dust, which will tend to redden the light of the star. Okay.
And I know you were kind of touching on it, but Vegas was actually asking a follow-up question.
Sure.
Does the size of the sun affect the amount of the UV it emits? Would one be more friendly towards carbon life, or is it about the distance from the planet to the sun?
It's actually about, in the end, it's about the mass of the sun. Okay, because the more massive the star is, the hotter the temperature is going to be in all likelihood. The hotter the temperature, the more UV can be generated. Right? So it's really about the mass, which relates to how much temperature you can get. More massive, higher temperature.
Yeah, this gets into black body radiation, doesn't it?
Yeah, what's that?
Black body radiation. I mean, just what you said, and that's shown on the Hertzsprung-Russell. The more massive, the brighter, and the more toward the blue end, the predominant frequencies of light are.
Right, and there's a famous law in astronomy called Wien's law, where you can actually calculate the primary frequency of the light that a star gives off based on its temperature. And when you start getting up to those very, very high temperatures, you'll see that the frequencies that it gives off are well into the ultraviolet range. And that is something that is interesting, because these really hot blue stars, it's the whole reason we say that carbon-based life, anyway, can't exist around these hot blue stars, because the molecules necessary for life would be completely destroyed by the ultraviolet radiation. We know now, in fact, that the surface of Mars is actually sterile because of the sun's ultraviolet radiation, which clearly isn't affecting us as much as it's affecting Mars. And that's because we have a magnetic field and we have an atmosphere. And together, those two things mitigate the ultraviolet radiation that reaches the ground and gives us things like skin cancers and all those things. But on Mars, all bets are off. So future colonists to Mars better bring their sunblock or live in a dome that's UV protected.
There you go. May I go back to Stellarium for a moment and ramp what I was talking about?
Yeah, let me. I think that's a great idea. Thanks, Daryl. Go for it.
Okay, here we are now. Still, it's on the sky chart. It's 35 minutes after midnight. And you see Sirius is about to set. Orion is setting. But Vega is climbing up in the east-northeast. Vega is the fifth brightest star in the sky. It's the second brightest, I believe, after Arcturus. Vega is a type A star. And if you looked at the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram for a moment, you'll see where the A's are a little bit to the left of the G stars. So it is burning hotter and brighter than our sun is. It's called a white star, as is Sirius, if I remember correctly. They're both classified as A stars, I think. Sirius is 8 light years away, and it's pretty hot. It's pretty bright. It's really nothing special, but it's only 8 light years away, and that's why it is so bright, the brightest star in our sky. You look at Vega and Lyra, and Vega is 25 light years away. So though they are rather similar stars, Sirius is much brighter than Vega. And to my eye, Vega always looks a little brighter than Arcturus does. I think that is because of the color difference. Vega is bright white. It looks maybe slightly bluish to me. Sirius certainly does. Arcturus is kind of a yellowish orange, as is Capella and Auriga. And I think maybe just the bright white or the slight blue I see, and it just makes it look a little brighter.
You know, I just mentioned real quick, Daryl. We talked about Arcturus and Capella being these luminosity class Roman numeral 3 III, giants. So they are giant stars. Vega, on the other hand, is a star that's like the sun in that it's what we call a regular, normal hydrogen fusing dwarf. And the word dwarf is sort of a odd misnomer, because you can have a giant O star, okay, and you can have an O star that's on the main sequence that is also a lot more massive than the sun, but it's still going to be classified as a main sequence dwarf.
Yes.
Compared to supergiants, they're all dwarfs in that sense. So it's not a size comparison. It actually has to do more with a classification thing. But Vega is a luminosity class 5, or the Roman numeral 5, or V. And so is the sun. The sun is a G2, that's the numeral 2, because there's 0 to 9, G0 through 9, and A0 through 9, for that. And Vega is an A05, as in Roman numeral 5. So that's the full classification of the star. It's an A0, okay, spectral class. And then the spectral type includes the luminosity class. So the luminosity class, the spectral class and the luminosity class together make the spectral type. All right. And so in other words, we have something along the bottom row, and then the location above or below the main sequence gives us what comes after. So it's a G, okay, in our case, a G2, and a 5, Roman numeral 5, Roman numeral 5 for us. Okay, G25, Vega's over here, A05. So it's also a dwarf. So there, that's how we classify stars. And together, those numbers are required to make what's called a spectral type, right? So, but that's a cool thing. And I can't wait for the stars of summer to come up anyway, Daryl, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I'll try to wrap it up here. The other thing about Capella, it's actually a quadruple star. Now, what we see, the K stars are actually a pair. They're orbiting each other. And if you look at it through a telescope, I think that's what you'll see. There are actually also a pair of red dwarfs, which are in a tight orbit all by themselves, and they're circling the twin stars of the K pair. Lyra is a single star. I believe Arcturus is a single star. As for how they look, again, Vega always looked a hair brighter to me than Arcturus, but I think that's because of the spectral class, the color. Arcturus in my refractor, even though they say it's kind of a yellow-orange color, always had kind of a green tint to me, but I'm sure that's just the glass in my refractor that made it look that way, or my crazy eyes. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much it for tonight, I think. We've delved into this fairly deeply, and maybe we'll pick up some more next week.
Yeah, and I think maybe in coming editions you can talk about Virgo, which is coming up.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
You can bet on that.
Because when we talk about Virgo, we've got to talk about galaxies like M87 and
absolutely
and other locations in the Virgo supercluster of galaxies, because we will be, when we go live at the end of this month with Sky Tour West, we are going to be right in a prime position to explore Virgo. Because where the observatory is located, Virgo is high in the sky, very high in the sky for us. So we'll have unprecedented views of the galaxies, and I don't think I'm going to get any sleep for weeks on end.
Yeah, well, I'd been meaning to give you a dig about this with the timing of the observatories being down and up. Amanda's always wanted to see a Messier marathon, and I think we're pretty much past the window for the Messier marathon.
Oh no, it is March.
Yeah. When you look at the star map, the last thing though, if you look from up in the area of Ursa Major, I'm going to go back full screen for a second.
Sure.
They're up in Ursa Major, the Big Dipper, the Big Bear. If you kind of draw a broad band from Ursa Major over to the left a little bit, past his handle, and then down to those two stars, those are Canis Venatici, the hunting dogs, and then down across Coma Berenices and Leo and Virgo, and kind of a band going like this. The 1,000 brightest galaxies in the sky, 3/4 of them are all up in that part of the sky.
Right, yeah.
And that's why springtime is galaxy season.
Yep, that's right. And we're going to be taking full advantage of that, I can tell you that.
Yep. Mark has shown you M81 and M82 before, which are up here near the head of the Big Bear. There's his head right there. M101 is just above the handle of the teapot. When you've seen M51 Whirlpool Galaxy, beautiful galaxy pair, they are right between the tip of the handle and the hunting dogs. They're, strictly speaking, they're in Canis Venatici, but M51 is right about here. And you get down into Coma Berenices. I'll draw them real quick. Here's Bernice's hair, Coma Berenices. That's where NGC 4565 is, the end-on spindle galaxy.
That's your favorite, isn't it?
One of them.
Yeah.
And you get down into Leo, and Mark has shown before, M65 and M66, plus the Hamburger Galaxy, and M95 and M96. And then in Virgo, the Virgo supercluster is right about here. And there are like hundreds of galaxies right in that one little area of the sky.
Mm.
So that's what we have to look forward to when Mark gets Sky Tour West up and running.
Yeah, and that won't be but about so far now it looks like a week and a half. And I got to tell you, I'm nervous. I'm really nervous.
Uh-huh.
You know, because all of this has been kind of like an ongoing thing where we're trying very hard to get things up and running, and it's nerve-wracking. And those of you who know, I think I've had to cancel the trip to Arizona 6 times, and I guess 7 times is the charm, because now the 7th time I just got my 2nd vaccination shot, so I can now fly with impunity. But it wasn't without penalty, because man, I felt pretty bad for the last couple of days. I wasn't even sure I could do Carol's right. You rocketh, Daryl.
Yeah.
I didn't feel too hot in the last couple of days, but it only lasted a couple of days. But I encourage everybody, don't play games with your health. Get the vaccination, because you'll be better for it in the long run, I believe. But that's just me, So that said, I did want to show you guys something. When you talked about the galaxy there, Daryl, one of the things I wanted to show was this. I'll get to it in a second. I'll show it to you. Is this the galaxy you were talking about?
Yes, that's the NGC 4565.
There you go.
Called the Spindle Galaxy. We're seeing it edge on,
Yep.
and we can see the dark dust clouds along the plane of the galaxy.
Yeah, well, this is one of the Sky Tour live stream photos that we took here. And I believe that the reason we have this photo, Daryl, is because you said, I'd love to see 4565. And we say NGC. What is NGC? We've talked about the catalogs before in the past, but there's a number of catalogs of astronomical data and objects, and one of them is the New General Catalog, NGC. And there's, of course, Messier Catalog, Messier, related to Charles Messier, who compiled a list of objects in the sky that were not to be confused with his love, which was comets.
Mm-hmm.
And all the things that he categorized as non-cometary, and he's like, I do not want to see those. Well, those became the most interesting things.
Yep,
110
of them.
Yeah,
yep.
Exactly.
And Bernice has a comet in her hair. She actually has two of them. That's another one there to the lower right.
That's right. That's right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, thus endeth the Sky Tour Stellarium View tonight. Thank you for your time. I hope I didn't bore you.
Oh, not at all. You did a great job. Thanks, Daryl. Thank you.
Everyone enjoyed that, and I know you're going to get back to us on Capella and booties and whatnot, and a lot of it tends to be based on Greek mythology. I know one of our viewers said that in Norse mythology, Thor was known to have a chariot pulled by goats. So I hadn't heard that one, but that's interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah, so we'll definitely look into that and let you know more next week. Or, well, not next week because Mark will be away, but next time.
Yep.
Okie dokie. Yeah, and this is what I think Mark wanted me to get you involved in, Amanda.
Perfect. I love the mythology. I love
the mythology of it.
Yeah.
I love that.
I can let you handle that part.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh.
And
no
we
pressure.
can handle this and a lot more. But I do believe we have to go to a break, don't we?
We do.
How about
But
that?
on the flip side of the break,
Yeah. Yes. You want to say it?
call in if they want.
That's correct. On the flip side of the break, the lines will be open if you want to call in. And the number, Amanda, is, I'll give it actually. It's 85 KGRA live. But if you don't like doing the letters, it's 855-472-5483 here at KGRA. This is Mark D'Antonio with Amanda Curran, Daryl Mason, and Tara Deulis, who so far is just smiling down in the lower right-hand corner. You know, we're going to get to her because Tara's got some really cool questions. And we're going to get to those on the flip side of this break. So we'll be right back.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Are you still at it?
Yeah, I need more speed.
This baby's fast.
My dad's fast. He's scary fast.
You really think you could beat him?
Yeah, because I drink more tea than he does.
Yeah, right.
You know, pal, it's the tea that makes you go.
Oh.
Hey, Dad.
You know, kiddo, you have to drink a lot more tea to be faster than me.
Drink the tea that makes you go. Life Change Tea. You may not need as much as Dad. You never know. GetTheTea.com. Log on to GetTheTea.com.
Welcome to the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. Here you'll find great new content, including the KGRA Classics, great shows from our archives. You'll be able to see the show times and information so you can see what show is currently on air. The on-air live button, so just go to this section and you'll be able to hear the show live with exceptional sound quality. We also have the Vault section. Make sure to subscribe to get access to great content and special features. We have the make content for our latest news and events, so make sure to sign up and you can be part of our forum. So make sure to check out the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. We look forward to seeing you there, and we hope that you enjoy the new website.
Mainstream media's most wanted. KGRAradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Skytour Radio. This is Mark D'Antonio. Ta-da, hello. And then we have Daryl Mason. We have, no, wrong way, Tara Deulis over there. And we have Amanda right there. And I just wanted to, I was reading some of the comments earlier, and I saw a few additional questions, Amanda, and I kind of missed them. I can't get them back, but I'd like to have you, if you could grab them for me, and then we can go through them. And while you're doing that,
from the start of the show, you mean?
They were farther back that I think we missed. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I can pull them up on screen, but I know that you were talking about Starlink. I think it was Kathy wanted to know if that was going to be affecting the view out in Arizona. That was one of them.
Yes, that's a good question. I would like to answer.
Okay.
But thank you, Kathy, for asking that question. The question is, will Starlink satellites and the prevalence of these Starlink satellites over our heads be a problem? Well, the answer to that question is going to be, mixed. Yes, it could be if we're taking lots and lots of photos of the night sky that we want to make and share with all of you, as we normally do, because, we've got pictures like, that we've taken, and some of them, for instance, have been extremely beautiful, and the night sky looks gorgeous out there and here. I've taken some photos that I want to, that I'm going to try and share with you right now. Let's see. I guess I'll grab it here to show you, give you an idea what I'm talking about. So when we talk about seeing something like this is the Rosette Nebula. All right. Now, this is an image I took here. Now, it doesn't matter whether it's Arizona or here, okay, because we'll see streaks of satellites going through if the Starlink satellites are going to be in the way. So what has to happen is, because they're inevitably going to be there, is there's two things we can do. Number one, we can digitally remove them, but I don't like manipulating the data. Or we can leave them there and just accept that they're going to be there. And most likely, I'm probably going to do that, because nothing points out how much crap, I should say, okay, is in orbit around the Earth, as when you take a photo of the night sky and see that there's many things between you and that beautiful object in the night sky, and that's what we're seeing here. Okay. So no matter what we take, okay, these pictures, all right, that we take, here's another one, the Orion Nebula here with the Running Man Nebula, which I think is one of your favorites, Daryl, the Running Man.
Orion, definitely.
Yeah. Here's the Running Man from here.
I always look for Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Running Man.
That's right.
That's beautiful.
That's right. Stick it out, Arnold Schwarzenegger's funny, So, yeah, but you see, now how would this look if it had a streak going all the way through it from something that's between us and the nebula thousands of light years away? You'd say, oh, it's ruined. And it could be. However, that streak is only in one of the many photos that we take. To get this photo, what we do is we take probably, in this particular case, 25 photos of the nebula, one right after another. Boom, 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 all for extended length. And for the ones that had satellites, and this one did have a satellite going through it, I actually just excused that photo. It was a good photo, but I took it out of the list and deleted it, because that was erroneous to me. And then what I did is I stacked them on top of each other, right? And when you stack photos on top of each other, what it does is it allows you to, take these photos and you just stack. So you stack 24 of them on top of each other, and it allows you to get all the subtle detail that you see here, and that's what we're seeing here. And I think that's the beauty of this. And so stacking is very important to get the result. And so then we image process. there have been people around the world that have actually taken our raw photos and stacked them themselves and come up with beautiful pieces of art. All right. So it's really quite an amazing process. But because of that, this is answering your question, Kathy. Because of that, we can choose the photos we want to stack with and leave out the bad ones. And if the bad ones have a satellite streak, great. But if we included all the satellite streaks and everything we've ever done, not one of the photos I've ever taken, okay, of the night sky, all right, would ever be completely clean. We'd always end up with some type of satellite going through.
Yeah. And I think over the course of time, when I looked at a Sky Tour live stream or participated, I think it has gotten worse over time. And it will get much worse when Starlink, when the entire 12,000 satellites or whatever are up there, you're going to have a lot more wasted frames.
Yeah, and to give people an idea of what it really means, okay, let me try to show you that too in a moment. I would actually, I'd like to actually say that when we take a look at what Starlink's going to do to our sky, we have to really understand what's happening up there. We have to get an idea, okay, for instance, what's over our head. There's undoubtedly, in this photograph I took here, there's satellites in this photo, but they were too dim to be seen, okay, in this particular case. They were too dim to be seen, okay? This beautiful, beautiful photo, I missed that question on the screen, sorry.
It wasn't a question. Genghis was just saying there's so much to see in that image, and I agree. And so much that we're not seeing, so...
No, he's right about that.
Yeah.
That's right, Genghis. Thank you. But let me just show you another example here of what it means, okay? When we talk about Starlink. You want to see what Starlink is going to look like? I'll show you what Starlink is going to look like. Okay, this is Starlink. Let me. I'm going to stop this for now. This is the one I want to show you. I want to show you the application. So let me just do that. Giving you an idea. This is going to show you directly what's going on. Okay, and this will be a little bigger for you. Okay, so now this is literally. This is what Starlink looks like now. This coverage. This is the coverage for Starlink. Okay. Now, as we move in here, this is the United States. Okay. These are moving. You can see them moving. Let me just get closer so you can actually see they're moving. You can see these little dots moving. Every one of those circles represents the range from the ground at the altitude of the Starlink that Starlink would be accessible from. Now, we're going to be down here. Right, in Arizona, okay, which is right here. Okay, this is Arizona. In fact, we're going to be literally right about here in Arizona. We're going to be right about there. All right, and right now there isn't a Starlink satellite covering us, but there is one coming, and it's going to overlap with this one. But you can see this is the kind of coverage we're going to get, and the idea is that all these circles will be overlapping at all times. That's the idea, okay? And if we can do that, if we can get to that point, then we're going to be able to actually have full-blown and full-time coverage of the Starlink network, okay? Here's another one that I want to show you that I think is really interesting, okay? This is another map which will give you an idea of what we're looking at. Okay, here again is the United States. These gold stars mean 100% coverage. And right now, Starlink has achieved 100% coverage. Just so you know, this 100% coverage was not there yesterday. So this is a moving target. This is changing all the time. And now we are down here. This is in Arizona. Okay, Phoenix is over here. Okay. That's Tucson. Here's Phoenix. And we're out here in the desert, okay? And if we double click on this, we get even more stuff here. And we're actually kind of out here. So at this point, you'll notice it says here, we're going to have 99.2% coverage right now for the day. And the observatory is out here in the desert. This is where it is, out here. Okay. And that is very good coverage. All right. But it's getting even better. And so, like I said, the gold star coverage it's 100% all the time. And that's going to end up, every one of these is going to be gold stars before long. And just as you said, Kathy, it's going to definitely be, it's going to be an issue moving forward, because we're not going to be able to control whether the Starlink satellites are, going to be interfering with us. We're going to have to actually remove those frames, and remove those images we took. But when we're looking at these things live, it'll be fun, enjoyable. And you can see things you don't expect to see. Like, there might be some kind of anomalistic objects that show up as well. We've had a few of those. I actually saw one on we had a live stream one time, and it was during the lunar eclipse. I've mentioned this before. And at the height of the eclipse, the moon was blood red down in the lower left quadrant. And we saw a white flash on the face of the moon down there. It's like, whoa. I saw it happen, but I thought maybe that was a glitch in the camera, because what else could it be? Well, it turns out it was a meteor hitting the moon. See? So we do get some cool stuff now and then. And that meteor hitting the moon was really awesome. And we were one of 5 groups on the planet to see it. And it was live when we saw it. And our friends P&K Space Imaging, they had just zoomed back in after being zoomed out, and they almost caught it, and they didn't quite get it. It's like, and they're good friends, but and hopefully they'll be able to, take part in everything that we're doing as well, and because we're all good buddies, we're all about astronomy. So anyway, Amanda, if you have any more questions, we'll take those, and then I'd love to go and listen in to some of the things Tara would like to talk about too.
May I address a question Charles Smar asked?
Please.
Yeah, well, I didn't see his question. Where was that?
It was a while ago. Charles Smar said, I have seen a couple of speculative stories about watching the Earth rise from the surface of the moon. I thought that the Earth was fixed in the moon's sky, never moving. Sort of yeah, sort of no, Charles. I have something I'd like to put up, if I may, please.
Sure.
Okay, give me just a second here. Okay, here we go. Tell me when you see that.
Well, it's there.
Okay. This is our moon as seen from Earth, and this is it. It tips back and forth and rocks up and down a little bit over the course of a month, the lunation. This is a combination of the moon having a constant state of rotation, but its rate of revolution around the Earth varies because it's in an elliptical orbit. So we get to see around the edges sometimes. And what this means is, well, imagine you're standing there on the moon, and as it is tipping back and forth and rocking up and down, the Earth will shift in the moon's sky somewhat. And if you were near the edge of the moon, over the lunar limbs on the left or right or top or bottom, you could theoretically see the moon or the Earth rise and set, and possibly repeatedly. As a general thing, though, I mean, the moon is in the Earth, from the moon's point of view, is in the same general part of the moon's sky. But it will move around a little bit. We'll see it, the Earth, conversely, it'll go up and down and back and forth a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, many of the famous photographs and images, rather, that people see of the Earth rising is because they were taken from a spacecraft orbiting the moon. Namely, one of the Apollo missions, when it was orbiting the moon, you saw the moon underneath you, and then you saw the Earth rising and so forth. And then there was a still photograph taken, and I think it was actually called Earthrise. And they're just gorgeous images, and actually gorgeous images taken from one of the most inhospitable places in the universe to be, other than near a O star or a very hot star, or a supernova in the process of supernovaing. Quite amazing, you know. So anyway, let's move forward if we can, Amanda, with questions if you got them.
Well, you know what's even more amazing?
Don't say we have to go to a break.
No.
We have a call?
We have a call. Our first one is going to StreamYard. Are you excited?
Okay. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Just like how many bottle caps made the door. Anyone want to take any wild guesses on who our debut caller might be?
Is it Marianne?
No.
Oh, come on, Marianne. Get off your butt and call us.
She was watching on Facebook, though. Hi, Marianne.
I know. Marianne's very instrumental to Sky Tour West. Well, tell us, Amanda. Tell us who we're waiting for. Don't. The suspense is killing me.
Is it Donald?
Pretty close.
Ronald.
Hi, Ronald. Are you there?
Yeah, it's Ronald.
Hi, how you doing?
Well, hello, Ronald.
Hello. Hey, Mark, how you doing? Hi, Amanda and Tara and Daryl.
Hello.
Hi, Ronald.
Hello.
Do you have a question?
Good to have your show back on the air again, and thank you for the live call. Thank you, Bill, for taking the call. And I had a question about the star formation and the time of, we talked about evolution before, and I have a hard time wrapping my head around the evolution theory. I believe in the creation idea, and that's a whole other show. But anyway, I believe in the idea of us being put in a certain place and we develop in time. I don't think that we came from nothing and we wound up here overgrowing. The point that you're making about with the size of the stars and how long would it take for a star to be that big? Would they be created that big? Would they start out that big, or would they grow that big, or what is the process in that?
Well, that's actually a very good question, Ronald. Thank you. I brought the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram. It was actually a diagram that came from Ejnar Hertzsprung and Henry Norris Russell, who discovered a correspondence between stellar colors and their brightness. And when they mapped them, this is the diagram that came up. And it indicated, that line that you see through the center snaking through the middle, that's that main sequence. Well, when stars are born, they're born as hydrogen-burning dwarf stars. However, they can be very massive, and it depends how much material is there for them to amass before they actually wink on and become stars. Now, when does that happen? That happens at first when the core of the star reaches 13 million Kelvin. And that temperature is the temperature at which hydrogen protons can be effectively fused together and form helium atoms, which have two protons, basically. And it's really, we're never just talking about pure hydrogen atoms, pure helium atoms. We're talking about isotopes, the variations of the same element, okay, in all these cases. But keeping that complexity aside for the minute, the star's mass will determine what it's going to be in terms of color, and the star's size will be determined by how much material actually coalesces to form the star. Normally, these more massive stars are going to have a certain size, and really, really low mass stars are going to have enough mass to wink on in their core and start helium or hydrogen fusion into helium, but they're also not going to have enough mass to grow to be any larger. So we get stars that are as big as the upper left of that snaky diagram all the way down to the lower right. This is not by any way a size comparison. I actually made that diagram for the book. But this this diagram serves to illustrate that the star's mass will determine a lot of how it appears to us. All right. Now, one thing that stars don't start off with or start off at is any place other than that snaky line you see. They always start on that snaky line. And what happens is over time and changes chemically inside, they migrate to what is above that snaky line. So either blue supergiants, red supergiants, red giants, yellow giants, whatever, depending on their initial color, they can actually become a number of different things. Like, for instance, a G-type star is a yellowish white star. That's our star. However, there will be a point in time where it's going to be red. And that's because that horizontal axis has to do with temperature. And when a star uses up all its hydrogen, it's initially going to start to collapse, okay? So I'll give you an example. As a star begins to actually collapse, all right, it actually runs out of hydrogen. So now the pressure pushing out from the radiation pressure inside is no longer balanced or is less. So the pressure is trying to collapse it from all sides. The gravity of the star wins and it starts to compress it. Well, as it starts to crush it, it gets hotter in this core. When it gets hotter in the core, the star starts to change color a little bit. And then once it starts to get hotter in the core, it can reach another threshold temperature where it begins converting helium into carbon. And sometimes what will happen at that point is the star will begin to bloat, okay? And it'll become now a huge star because it's got this new source of outward flowing energy that overwhelms the gravitational contraction and it grows bigger. However, the outer envelope of this this much bigger star is cooling off. And when we look at the way radiation works, hotter radiation is blue and cooler radiation like that is a redder. And that's like thinking about red hot versus white hot. White hot is way hotter than red hot. They'll both kill us, but red hot is cooler than white hot. So as the star gets bigger, the outer layers become lower temperature. So if a star starts off as a yellow star that migrates off its main sequence and starts to grow in size, as it grows in size, it's going to get redder and redder. So our sun is destined to become a red giant. It won't be a yellow giant. Okay, to be a yellow giant, it'll have to be hotter. Because remember that horizontal axis is color.
So did we start out, did our star, our sun, did we start out as a yellow star? Was our primary ingredient?
Yes. We were always a yellow star to begin with. And while we're on the main sequence, we will always continue to be a yellow star. Any star that started off as a blue star on the main sequence and is still on the main sequence will always be a blue star. It's only when it runs out of that primary fuel that it begins to make those changes and it starts to change color and starts to grow and become a larger star. By growing larger, the color change comes with it because as it grows larger, those outer layers become cooler because they're farther from the core of the star. And as it gets cooler, it turns more red.
Would Betelgeuse be a good example of a blue star turning into a red star?
It's probably one of the finest examples, Daryl. Thank you.
Yeah.
Betelgeuse, as you all know, is the bright red star in the upper left of Orion. And that bright red star is actually a former O-type star. Okay, when we go back to this diagram, okay, all right, we look at this diagram and we see, for instance, that in the upper left corner on the main sequence, we have blue. Well, these are where the O stars live. Betelgeuse was a bright blue O-type star. Okay, in fact, when Lucy, Australopithecus afarensis, the seed of humanity in Olduvai Gorge in Africa, when Lucy was alive 4.2 million years ago and walking around, had Lucy looked up at Orion and had the capability to discern the stars, Lucy would have noticed that there are all blue stars in Orion. The star we call Betelgeuse would have been a bright blue star to Lucy. But since that time, that's all it has taken. Betelgeuse has grown into a supergiant, and as it's gotten bigger, those layers have migrated. As the star increased in size, the color change occurred because Betelgeuse was cooling in temperature on the outside, and that's when it ran out of hydrogen. It began to swell, and the processes that make it swell into a red giant are a little beyond what we're talking about tonight. But suffice it to say that as the star begins to fuse different elements, there are different pressures in the star that cause it to puff up and bloat. And that actual bloating can actually be done in multiple ways, okay? The bloating can, for instance, go up and down, up and down. The star can pulsate. Betelgeuse does this. It pushes out stuff, and then it compresses. But sometimes that stuff on the outside sort of stays there. And Betelgeuse has this dusty shell of junk in concentric shells around it. So it really looks like an odd place. If you went there, it would really look odd to you, because Betelgeuse also has large, giant lumps on its surface. It kind of looks like a potato with all kinds of little weird things sticking off of it. And that's the new view of these supergiant stars.
Well, I was reading recently about the star VY Canis Majoris.
Oh, yes.
And it is supposedly like Betelgeuse on steroids.
Yeah, it's leaves Betelgeuse in the dust.
Yes. I mean, it is a truly huge star. It is also a red supergiant like Betelgeuse. And they think now it is also growing dimmer like Betelgeuse did last year, a year or so ago. Mm-hmm. That it is actually blowing off clouds of dust, and which is actually dimming the star. The star used to be visible to the naked eye, and it's not now because it's a lot farther away than Betelgeuse is. But it's undergoing the dimming similar to Betelgeuse, because it is bloating up and blowing off so much dust that it's hidden inside its own clouds of dust.
Yeah, and that's again, that's something that is not uncommon with these giant stars, and it's really one of these types of things which I think when people look at the size difference and literally how much bigger one of these stars can be, you have to understand that the size of, say, VY Canis Majoris, okay, versus the size of our sun is so incredibly different that it actually defies the imagination. Let me see if I can illustrate that for you. Let me go out here and grab something I might have to show you that.
Too, and thank you for the call.
All right, Ronald. Thank you for your call.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yeah, let me.
And if anyone else wants to call in, the number's up on the screen.
Sure.
855-472-5483.
Yeah.
85 KGRA Live.
Yeah, that's us. We're waiting. We'll listen for you. But before
Ronald broke the ice, so
yeah, he did.
Free for all now.
Yeah. Now I'm going to show you this. This is a little comparison here. This is, what Daryl just talked about. VY Canis Majoris on the right, and you see that little tiny dot. Let me see if I can actually make it a little bigger for you. That little tiny dot is our sun, and this is VY Canis Majoris.
Wow.
Now talk about a size difference, guys. Can you even imagine if there's that much stuff in the universe and this is in just one star? Admittedly, it's one of these hypergiant stars. It's really a massive star. But look at that, huh? Look at the difference in size. There's our sun. And our sun is huge compared to the Earth. So imagine that. Okay, so there you go. That gives you a little bit of an indicator. Okay.
And I forget what it's called, but there's a video on YouTube where it just goes, you think this is big, now look at this, and it goes, planets and supernovas and everything. It just goes on, and our sun, Jupiter, all these things are so small in perspective, and it takes up the entire sky to us. So it's
I actually
really fast.
I do a talk. One of the talks I do, it's actually related to that. It's called the talk's not called The Powers of 10, but it's related to the Powers of 10. And it takes you tenfold.
I've seen that one too. Yeah.
Yes, but I do it in terms of astronomical objects. I don't start at the quark size going to protons and then the electron. I'm going to atoms and that low. But I start with planets versus solar systems versus stars and Kuiper belts and the Oort cloud, and then our solar neighborhood, then galactic companions nearby, and so forth, all the way to the superclusters of galaxy. It's amazing to see this, and that's actually going to be one of my toilet paper lectures coming out. Actually, is going to be the universe, the size of the universe on toilet paper.
Cool. Hardly wait. Listen.
Yeah.
Ronald's gone and done it now. We have another caller, and no bias here, but it's a Canadian. Let's welcome Jim to the line. Hi, Jim. How are you?
Hey, Jim.
Good. Hi.
Thanks for calling. Thanks for calling Sky 2 Radio. What's going on, man?
Oh, I have a question for you. Now, I have asked this question of other PhD physicists, and I'm going to ask you guys this. I'm very serious about this question. It's more of a philosophy question. Okay, so here goes the question. Of all the physics we now know about the universes, how much more is there to know?
Do you want my immediate answer? I mean, the answer is in one word, obviously lots. We know that, but you're right. Of all the physics we know, what we're learning is that much of the physics we know has to be moderated by some of the new things we're learning. For instance, I'll give you an example. We know about the fundamental forces in the universe. We know that gravity is among the weakest of them. However, we know, for instance, how to generate electricity, how to harness it, how to manipulate it, how to create it, how to shunt it to something different. We know how to reflect light. We know how to generate light. We know how to do all the things with these types of characteristics, I'll call them, of the universe. We know how to manage magnetic fields. We know how to generate them. We know how to turn them on. We know how to turn them off. One thing we don't know how to do, though, is turn off gravity. We don't know how to manipulate it. We know how to calculate it. That we've got. The force due to gravity is the universal constant, gravitational constant G times the two masses of the things involved over the distance between them squared. That's the force of gravity that's between two objects, of mass. And we know how to calculate its value. What we can't do is say, okay, let's turn off the gravity on this object. So in other words, it'd be great to be able to turn off the effect of gravity on a rocket. And then all we have to do is put it on a spring and go boing, and it'd be going to orbit eventually. What a great idea. But the trouble is that we actually don't know much about gravity. In fact, we knew that gravity was a force in the early days. We could calculate its force hundreds of years ago, in fact. However, when we started to look at what exactly is gravity, that's when all the real hard questions started coming up. Like, is gravity something that works at the atomic level? Is it something that is related to anything more than just the mass of an object? And the answer so far is that objects with mass also have gravity. You have gravity. It's minuscule, but you have gravity. If you had you and a spoon, and the two of you were put out in deep space, and the spoon was put 5 feet from you, and you couldn't reach it, in some period of time, I'm not sure how much, it depends on how much gravity you have versus the spoon, which you both have gravity, light as you both are, at least massive as you both are, eventually the spoon is going to come towards you enough so you can reach it. Because masses will attract each other because of their mutual gravitational force. But we can calculate the strength. We can even tell you when the spoon will reach you. But we can't control anything about gravity. There's questions, is gravity quantum? And the answer is maybe, but we can't prove it. Einstein didn't think we would ever see gravitational waves. He thought it would be something, that either didn't exist or would be too hard to see if it did. And it turns out, as Daryl and I have talked about before, that the LIGO detectors, the Laser Interferometric Gravitational Wave Observatories, LIGO, L-I-G-O, one in Hanford, Washington, one in Louisiana, and then one over in Italy, actually detected an impact on our planet of gravitational waves. And that happened to be when two black holes collided with each other. They rippled through space-time. It sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? But that's what it was. They rippled gravitational waves through space-time. We saw them. We could detect them. We could tell they were there. But we can't generate them. We can't manipulate them. It's just there. So we have a ways to go with our physics. And one of the big, huge, if not biggest questions, both in cosmology, astrophysics, and astronomy, which I'm an astronomer, so that's where this comes from, is that we don't know how to operate on gravity. We can't do anything with it. We can just calculate its value. All right? That's huge for us, trying to bring all those together. If we could bring magnetism, light, which includes electrical and magnetic energies as well, of course, and gravity together under one roof and make it work peacefully with quantum mechanics, then I think that would change our appreciation of physics and would actually change our knowledge quite substantially. And we'd then learn a lot more about the universe. You see what I mean with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I have another question about gravity waves. Is there a spectrum of gravity waves as there is a spectrum of electromagnetic waves?
Well, not in the same sense, and I don't want to confuse the two. You won't find gravity somewhere in the visual spectrum. Gravity is detected very differently. It's a force, just like there's no, you can't see the spectrum of a magnetic field in terms of the spectrum we see with light. Light has a spectrum. Magnetic fields have their own variation and range of data values, and so does gravity. They're separate things, and but that's an excellent question, because I think people could be confused and think that when we talk about spectra, we're talking about the spectrum of gravity. Well, there is no spectrum of gravity. There is just the force of gravity and calculating the value. You see what I'm saying there? So there's no real spectrum of gravity.
Could I jump in on that a little bit?
You may.
Okay. The people that run the LIGO detectors and the Virgo detector in Italy, they have been observing a lot of gravitational events, and they are learning how to differentiate what they see. You might say it's, reading the spectrum, whether it's frequency versus amplitude or whatever, but they're getting to where they can tell what kind of objects cause these events, like whether it's two black holes or two neutron stars, or a black hole and a neutron star. And we're still, crawling more than walking with this right now, but I dare say it's going to, expand greatly in the future. I don't that we can interpret the data and see much more in it than we have been.
Yeah, I think the signature of a gravitational wave is what you're talking about there, but it's not really a spectrum. It's a signature. A signature object will generate a particular gravitational wave. And so whether it's neutron stars that are in collision or black holes that are in collision, we can recognize the signature of such collisions. But in that regard, I mean, there's a power and an amplitude associated with those values. So I'm really hesitant to call it a spectrum myself, okay? But I will say that there are, and Daryl is absolutely correct, there are different signatures for different objects that are in collision. It requires right now very massive objects in collision for us to see a gravitational wave, because that's a massive disruption to the fabric of space. I love that term, the fabric of space, But, you know, if you think about it, what is the fabric? The fabric is like a giant rubber sheet stretched all by like a large, stretched out on a giant frame. And you throw a bowling ball into the middle of it. It's going to go down where the bowling ball is. Well, that's sort of like a gravitational well. But that's only in 2 dimensions, right? If you think about that happening everywhere around this object, infinitely around the object, that's really what we're talking about. It's a warpage in 3D space. And incidentally, just so you know, that's why light can't escape black holes, because light is massless, but black holes only operate with gravity. So the gravitational forces that are pulling and warping things can't affect light. So how come light can't escape a black hole? It's because the light follows space, but space-time can be warped by intense gravitational fields. So if gravitational fields warp space, then like a car going over a hill, okay, light follows the contour of space. And if space is warped, then the light follows that. It doesn't know it's not going straight. So when it goes past that event horizon on a black hole, for instance, it ends up staying inside the black hole because of the warpage being so great it can never get out. So that's what they mean by that. In addition, that's just sort of like a little aside here. Does that help you with your questions?
Thank you very much. Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for the call. What I'd like to do now is bring in our Terra beam.
Wait. Before we do that, let's do something else.
Something better.
Oh, wow. No, not necessarily something better, but thank you to Jim for that call.
Yeah.
We have another call. We have the host of Behind the Obsidian Curtain, which you can hear on KGRA TV Friday nights at 7 Eastern.
I know who this is.
Who is this, Mark?
It is Carol Carl, the most amazing host of Behind the Obsidian Curtain. I know her very well. She's
Welcome
a dear friend
Carol.
to radio. Hello, Carol.
And I'm hearing like 2 shows at once. I am hearing like, and also, I just want to say the absolute. Wait, okay, I'm getting an echo, so I will try to get rid of the echo. So I don't know
Mute your device, Carol, if you're listening on YouTube.
We can just talk with an echo if you like. Like. Hello.
You know, it does make stuff extra substantiated, right? You know, it's like in case you missed it the first time around. Okay, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, super. So I'm not hearing the show, but meanwhile, as I was on hold for this call, I was able to get an absolute substantiation that I am in Skype right now, even as we speak, with dear Tara. And I can't, I'm so sorry, but I keep pronouncing your name Tara. I don't know. So it's like territory, and as you told me once, Tara on dotted line, okay? But, so I got it, and I love her addition to the show. I love everything you guys do, and this is kind of like just a general supportive call, because
sweet of you.
Well, I just can't say enough about how you offer this incredible education, this insight. It's so accessible. It is so, you make sure and offer this thing that there are no stupid questions. There are no, if something occurs to you that you want to fly, and ask the Mark D'Antonio or Daryl Mason or Amanda Curran, or in this case now we get to add Tara DeUlis. If you want to ask these people something, go for it, because we're all in that crowd of no matter what you've done in life, you still have perhaps not expanded your education, shall we call it, in certain directions, and now go for it. Why not? What's holding you up? It's all there. We've had it since the internet. And, Mark, you are just so incredible in being able to offer this to, I don't want to be, I hope I am not sounding dismissive, because I am who I am talking about. People who are savvy to a lot of things, but we don't happen to be savvy to astronomy.
That's okay. Very few people actually look up, right, Carol? I mean, and they shouldn't while they're driving, as Amanda will remind you at the end of every show.
Here, yes, indeed.
But truth is, I looked up, as you know, at an early age, and I never stopped looking up. And I just found it so fascinating because I felt that the key to learning about us here on the planet is learning about everything off the planet and how everything up there happened, because that relates to how everything here happened. It's really quite an amazing journey, you know. So astronomy, as you know this too, I think, astronomy is for everybody. It's just that it has to be given in bite-sized chunks that people can understand, because not everybody has a science background, but they still want to learn. They still want to learn, what is that thing in the sky? You know, I don't care about hydrogen fusion, but what is that thing in the sky? You know, and so you get a little of the things they need. So, you know, you take what you need and you leave the rest, right?
Right, and it's you know your point about that thing that I am seeing with my own unaided eyes right now. What is that? Because that is real. That's like okay, but I don't know what that is, etc. And you just are so savvy at providing exactly the right digestible bits, sound bites. Okay. And here comes the part. Here it comes. Are you everybody buckled up? Okay. I am still, even as we speak, I am putting your book, The Populated Universe, on audio, and I am getting such an education that it is absolutely. I mean, like, is there a test that you can prepare for me so at the end of this I can take it and like get some sort of right thing? Right?
I don't know if that's something that would even be. I would never consider that, because I do want to mention, and you let the cat out of the bag, and it's okay because
I know. Okay, I know.
I've said it before. You know, Carol is doing the Audible version of The Populated Universe, and the first chapter, when she did the first chapter, I started listening to it thinking, you know, oh, okay, let's hear how it sounds. And when I heard her melodic voice, and let's be clear, the phone line she's on right now doesn't sound anywhere near the quality of her voice. The phone line is...
you are so kind. Thank you, Mark.
It's a very rough call, okay? And so, but her voice is very melodic, and it just pulls you right in. So when she was reading the first chapter, I found myself listening to every single utterance, everything she said, and it's
my God.
I wrote this. Why is this so different? Why is it so different? It's because she knows where to put the emphasis. She puts it on the right syllable.
Okay. The emphasis on the right syllable. Yeah. I got it. Well, you know, that's okay. I mean, I'm like the holder of a couple of different acting union cards, right? Inactive, but still, I mean, that was sort of like I grew up reading stuff and then reading stuff out loud, and then so, I mean, I won't say that I didn't do a couple of checks. You know, I will definitely check and make sure how something that is outside of my scientific bailiwick is pronounced, something that you've got in your book, and I'll get it. But what I want to emphasize here is that your book is like, I mean, it is an education. I absolutely have to say that I certainly have not studied or researched how one could find an astronomical education in a book, right? Okay, in a digestible book that is absolutely so much fun. I mean, you have this incredible sense of humor, Mark, and you have put this into the book so beautifully. I mean, like, I'm thinking of the sea monkeys, right? Okay?
Yes, I did talk about that.
Yeah, and but I just want to say that it's something that is not. There is no intimidation factor. There is no like, this is knowledge, right? Okay, and put on your hats, dress in formal gear, and pursue this. It's just you make it very digestible and really clear and it's something that I wish that we all knew, because I think life would be different. I think life on planet Earth, if everybody had your imagination, that we would pursue things differently.
Well, there's a lot of people that think as I do. I just I wish they all had a voice like I have. Sometimes they don't, you know, and so right. I like to ask questions myself. You know that, and you ask questions. You're extremely knowledgeable. Amanda's extremely knowledgeable. If you remember the first time Amanda joined us on SkyTour live stream years ago,
wow.
She nothing about astronomy, and on SkyTour Radio she knew nothing about astronomy either. But when she joined us, she learned, and over time, she became this font of knowledge, and she herself does not even realize how much she knows. And I'm saying that publicly. Okay.
I know. You know, and she's got this personality. She's not going to admit it. She's never going to, she is not going to speak highly of herself. Gosh, Amanda, are you listening?
She's listening.
She's
I'm
listening.
here.
I know. All right. Well, Queen Amandur. Okay, and she is just, and it's sort of like there is no ego with her knowledge. There is just kind of like she sort of like says it with this like she's this information bank. Okay, there's no persona here. There's no I know this and you don't. I mean, it's nothing like that. Oh my God. So yeah.
The only thing I know is that I don't know.
So there you are. Hi, kiddo.
Yeah, all of the knowledge we have in astronomy, Carol, Amanda, and everybody listening, is subject to change.
Yes.
Everything. Now, luckily, in the book, that's sort of a live book, meaning that if I learn something today that violates something I wrote in the book, I can change it this afternoon, and it'll be published.
Right. Like keep me posted. Right, exactly.
And the next person that buys that book, it'll be printed with the newest information in it. So it's an ongoing, basically, latest edition. So that's very important, because that's something else in the world of astronomy that's really, really sorely needed. You don't buy a book that's outdated, right?
Right.
And that's what's happening here. This book is never outdated. It's always timely. And I that's the only thing I could say about that. That's the way it ought to be. Everybody should do it that way.
It's an ongoing thing, and the more we learn, the more things will absolutely have to be recorded and substantiated, and it's like a compendium. So it is. Oh my God. So there is this quality of surreality, surrealness, however you want to, wherever you want to put the emphasis.
I like that. Surreality is good.
Right, okay, but I mean, it's kind of like this is sort of something that way back in when I was just doing like musical theater and blah 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 and trying to get TV and film gigs. It's kind of like never ever in my consciousness did it ever occur to me that I would be able to pursue this inner fascination that I've had since I was 12 and actually like talk with people who were like in it and doing it. And so, but here I am, and I just want to say that your show is fantastic, Mark, Amanda, Daryl, Tara. It is a growing live organic thing, and KGRA Radio DB, KGRA DB Radio, I'll get it right. It's just so, what an incredible position that you are all in. And I just want to say thank you for all of your work. And
I'm blushing now.
Yeah, well, go ahead, please, Lou, do blush, because I am humbled to be in the presence of you guys. It is. It's fantastic. It is familial. It is accessible. It's all of those good things, and scientific too.
Well, thank you, dear. That's very, very kind of you, and I appreciate you and your call, and you're basically rocking us out of here, because we're almost done tonight now, and you're the final call for the evening.
Okay, well, listen, all I can say is thank you, and I want to remind anybody who's listening that there are incredible archives, so you can catch up on all of this stuff. And, Mark, do you have any idea when you're going to do another Sky Tour Radio live stream on YouTube?
Yeah, Sky Tour live stream. I'm in Arizona next weekend for the next at least half a month, installing equipment in the observatory, and I'm going to be out of here, and I won't be back until it's live.
Oh, my God. Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? He won't be back until it's live. All right, everybody, rock on party.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Carol. That's very kind. And, I'm afraid that's it. We're out of time tonight, but I appreciate your call, Carol. Thank you so much for that. And I want to thank Tara for being here. We didn't get to your questions, Tara, but you know what?
Okay.
It's all good, because we're going to take care of that. We're going to make sure that we get to your questions, I promise. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you've done it again. You've wasted another 2 hours listening to Sky Tour live stream. Again, I borrow that from Car Talk and NPR. I love that show. And thanks, PG. But I do want to let you know that we will be back again. I don't believe I can do a show next weekend because I will be in the Arizona desert working on Sky Tour live stream for all of you. But I will be back. Amanda will be back. Daryl will be back. Tara will be back. And Tara will be able to ask her questions finally. And I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to do this to you tonight. But
the whole show was going to be based on her questions.
It actually was going to be based on her questions. And my entire show was based on what Tara was going to say tonight. It was supposed to be a potpourri. Anyway, we got to go. And we will talk to you the next time, and we'll see you. And do listen in next week on the replay. We will love to hear your comments. Our email is skytourradio@kgraradio.com, and we are here for you. If you have any questions, let us know in there. Send us your love. Send us your hate. Anyway, we'll talk to you soon. This is Mark D'Antonio with Daryl and Amanda and Tara, and we will be back the very next time. And remember, when you go out, don't forget, keep looking up.
Except while you're driving. Night all.